Welcome to the Thrive TV show with Lauren Parsons, helping you boost your health, energy, and productivity.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Thrive TV. My name's Lauren Parsons, and I'm so thrilled to be joined today by Lisa Larter. Lisa, hello.
Hello, Lauren. It's so good to be here with you.
Nice to connect. So Lisa Larter is the CEO and founder of the Lisa Larter Group. And today we are talking about how leaders are readers and the one book that will completely change your life. So I'm really excited to hear what Lisa has to say about this. She's going to share with us her top tips to help you get the most out of your reading and really emphasize how it can change your life. She's going to teach you how to organize your thoughts while you read so you get so much more out of every book that you read, and how to take action while you are reading. So before we get into all of that, I always just like to start with my this and that questions. I didn't even tell Lisa about this. So Lisa, so that people can have a chance to get to know you before we dive into finding out what that book is, can I ask you, they're just this and that questions, quick answer. So the first one is jeans or a skirt? What would you choose?
Jeans every single time.
I thought you'd say that. It's good. Makeup or no makeup?
Makeup.
Yeah.
Always.
Photograph or painting?
Oh. Painting.
Painting? No.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Yeah, some of them are.
I have both. I'm not a big people photograph person, but I love my pets' photographs. So It's a hard one.
Beautiful fur babies.
Yes.
Smoothie or ice cream?
Smoothie.
Smoothie, nice. Would you rather be able to play 10 different instruments beautifully or speak 10 different languages fluently?
Languages.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. Taj Mahal or Eiffel Tower?
Eiffel Tower.
Okay. Snow or rain? It's probably topical right now.
Rain.
Rain, nice. Oh, and visit the aquarium or visit the zoo?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I don't like the cold, but snow is so much prettier than rain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being from Canada, I've experienced a lot of your beautiful snow over there. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Visit the aquarium or visit the zoo?
The zoo.
Okay. And last one, cake or cookies?
Neither.
You want to say? I knew you were going to say neither.
Potato chips.
Potato chips. Okay, nice, excellent. Well, just to get to know Lisa a little more, Lisa is a global expert on social media, marketing strategy for growth and high impact. She worked her way up the corporate retail ladder until her own entrepreneurial spirit took over. She opened her first retail store, Parlez Wireless, an Authorized TELUS dealership, and then sold it many years later because she was so busy helping other business people and owners design successful, profitable businesses, and she didn't have time to keep working on her own retail store. She's known for a no-nonsense approach to helping business owners get results, and with Lisa, you only get facts and an expectation that if you want your business to grow, you will dig in and do the work. And I have a lot of friends that have been personally coached by Lisa. I know that she is amazing. So Lisa, tell me, to start, what is it that you love most about what you do now?
I love seeing people's lives change. I love working with people who don't see clearly what their potential and capabilities really are, and helping them step into that, and then watching their lives and business and other people's lives be transformed by the action that they take.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so tell us, you are such a fan of reading. Before we get to you telling us about that book, tell me, why is that so important to you? What is your philosophy around reading?
Well, I've always had a knowledge for information. From the time I was a little kid, I had my nose buried in books. I read encyclopedias, and my mom's sister was a nurse, and so I would read books about biology and the human body. I was so fascinated and interested in learning, and I just believe that the most important investment you can make in yourself is your knowledge bank. And so the more you read, the more you know, and the more you know, the better you do in terms of the choices and the decisions you make in life, the better your speaking capabilities become because your language expands, the more you know about different topics and subjects. I just think it's critical for us to read, and not just read blogs and opinion pieces online, but to dive into books, different types of books, different genres of books that will expand the way that we think in a broader way.
Absolutely. And books are amazing. I mean, it's where experts really take all of their best knowledge and advice and crystallize it in a way we can really absorb it. And what I found is I've read a lot of books of people that I've loved their TED Talks. And while I thought that I understood their key message through their TED Talk, it's just deepened and expanded. And I've really got it when I've actually read it. So tell us the story about the book that changed your life.
Oh, the book that changed my life. So I think it was 2002. My husband had read this book that friends of ours had given to us, and he didn't tell me to read the book. And he was away for the weekend, and I grabbed the book and I read the book. I read the entire book in a day. And then I went to my computer and I typed up every single highlighted note from that book. And it set in place a journey that changed our lives forever. And that book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. When I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I realized that everything that I thought about money was wrong. And I was on the path of being just like everyone else. The more money I made in my job, the bigger the house we bought, the bigger the mortgage we took on. And I wasn't thinking about debt as a bad thing. I wasn't thinking about assets and how you can use money to make money. I wasn't looking at things through the lens of what I wanted most in the world, which was to be self-employed. And so when I read that book, I sent my husband a text message and I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Tell you what?" I said, "We have to sell our house." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I just read Rich Dad, Poor Dad." And we literally, over the course of the next 6 years, went from having a huge mortgage to being mortgage free. So that book and becoming mortgage free gave us the freedom to do so much in our lives because we weren't handcuffed to a job, because we were no longer buried in debt. We didn't have the financial obligations that most people in their 30s and 40s have, because they're constantly striving for the bigger house, the better car, the fancier furniture, all of those things that cause people to go deep into debt. So that book absolutely, positively changed my life.
Yeah. Can you explain a little more? Because I'm sure people listening will be wondering, so how did you get out of that debt? Did you then just downsize and manage your money in a different way?
Great question. Yeah, that's a really, really, really great question. So the first thing that we did is we had built a beautiful home, and we sold that house and bought another house that was half the price of the house that we had sold, but it needed a lot of work to be done. And so we renovated that house, and 5 years later, we sold that house and doubled our money. And then we bought another home, and we didn't need a mortgage for that home. And so we were willing to do the work. We were willing to buy a house that wasn't as nice as the one we had built. We were willing to do the work of upgrading and beautifying that property. And then we were willing to do the work of working with a real estate agent who could actually help us get the top price for a home in our neighborhood based on everything that we had done. And then we were humble enough to go from living in a 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot single home in a really beautiful neighborhood with lots of tree cover into an end unit townhome. Whereas a lot of people wouldn't have been prepared to give up the appearance of the big, beautiful house and move into a smaller property for the gift of being mortgage free. But we don't care. We didn't care what other people thought. We don't have children. So the two of us do not need a 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot home. It's the two of us and 2 little dogs.
Absolutely.
And so it was the philosophy around how to build wealth and how to eliminate debt, but it was also the actions that we took to make that a reality, and the fact that we were not married to the opinions of others when we made those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people that once they have that realization well, anyone can do that same thing. It's all about your mindset and how you choose to live your life. And I think it's so easy to get caught up in that rat race and just keeping up with the Joneses and spending up or over above what you're earning. So yeah, that's a really good, I guess, kind of a side note, but also it just shows the amazing and incredible benefits of investing time in reading. And like I've got friends that I know also encourage their young adults and their teenagers to invest time in reading. They even pay them to read books and do book reports. And I just think it's a fantastic way to change your life. And it can even be a free way to change your life. The local library in your local town has got such a wealth of resource there. So tell us more about how to really read and how you read to get so much out of each book.
So when I read a book, there's a couple of things that I do. I always have a highlighter. I always have a pen. I always have a stack of these little sticky notes that you can put inside of your pages. And when I'm reading a book for my book club, I have little markers. I don't know if you can see that at the top of the book, and that indicates where the book breakdown. So I need to read this much week 1, this much week 2, week 3, week 4 if you're trying to get through a book in a month. And then when I'm reading the book, you'll notice that I put little sticky notes all throughout the book for things that I want to be able to refer back to. And inside of the book, I underline sections that are super important. And in addition to that, I will write inside of my books. So a lot of people are afraid to write in their books. They don't want to mark them up. I say your book is like a study guide. Use it. Write inside it. Write notes inside it. Make reminders to yourself so that you can actually take action later. Because what happens, the philosophy around masterminding, when a group of people come together, there's a third or a higher being in the room that comes in, and you'll never have the same people with the same knowledge and the same ideas together again. Well, I feel like when you're reading a book, you're masterminding with the author and yourself. When you are reading something in a book, the ideas and insights that come to you came to you at that particular moment in time because of what you were reading. If they are important to you, you should capture them. I often have a notebook that is right beside the chair that I read in, and I will write things down in my notebook so that I don't forget them. And then the one other thing I do, if you look at the top of this book, you'll see one blue Post-it sticking out. That one blue Post-it means that this page is really, really important. So everything on the side is important. It's all stuff that I want to reference back to. But if it's sticking out the top, it is the 1 or 2 biggest, juiciest, richest nuggets that I have taken from that book. And that allows me to go back and easily find those messages that were incredibly compelling to me.
That's fantastic. And I think one of the big mindset shifts that you've just shared is that fact of writing in the book. Because, if it's your book, obviously perhaps not with the library book, but when it is your book and you've invested this small amount to get this amazing book that has so much knowledge, going through it with that pen. I've done that sometimes, but I tend to actually just make notes in a separate book. But I think after today, I'm going to start to follow your method because I do have a great library of books. And like you said, it's in that moment when you first read it that you need to capture all of that thought process that you've been through and what stood out to you. And potentially, I wonder do you always write up your key points from each book that you read, or do you just use that system to refer back to the original book?
Here's what I do because I lead a book club. every single week I write my ahas from that week's worth of reading. So I am documenting my ahas. I'm referring back to them that way. But I'm not, if I'm reading another book just for me, I'm not necessarily writing things down the way that I did for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's really a matter of time. I don't have the time today to do that. And if I did, it probably would be, it would probably take my reading even further. One other thing that you can do though, when you're reading, is have a Post-it notepad with you. And this is probably a little bit small. You know, the ones you can get that are lined and they're almost like a page size?
Yes. Yep.
You can take one of those and you can stick it inside of your book as well. And so when you have those ideas, if you don't want to write it in the margins of the book, you can stick the Post-it note right on that page and write all of those ideas right on that page. And then it makes it easy for you to go back and grab those notes later on as well.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit more about your reading book club. It's for business people and entrepreneurs, isn't it? It's called Thought Readers. Can you just tell us how it works?
Yeah, and it's a business book club, but there are people in the book club that are stay-at-home moms. They're not all business owners. And the book club is really an idea that came from a client of mine because she knew that I was an avid reader. And she attended an event with me and she said, I have a business idea for you. She said, I think you should start a book club and you should mail us all a copy of every book you're reading. And, you know, once a month, mail us a copy of a book you're reading and tell me what you're learning when you're reading this book. And I'll read the book with you and discuss the book with you. And I'll be your first customer if you'll do that. And I'll pay you. And it's like, who's going to pay me to read books with me? Nobody's going to do that. And so I made this decision that I would only run this book club if I had a minimum of 12 people who were interested, and they had to pay $1,000 for the year to get their 12 books. And if there were 12 people that were interested, I would do it. And the first year we had 70.
You had, 17?
70. 70.
0.
Wow.
There's a business in and of itself.
Exactly. But the book club is amazing because not only am I leading people while we're reading, there's such rich discussions that happen from books. Even when I host my beach house mastermind retreats, I always send people a book that I have intentionally picked before we get together. And we use that book as the foundation for our learning and our discussions together about how to move forward in our business. Because people read, but then they don't do anything with what they've read. And so what I try to do is I try to say, if you could just take one thing from every single book that you read and do something with it, what could you accomplish in your life and business? It would just be incredible. One thing. You don't have to do everything in the book. Just do one thing.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing is often we read, but we don't apply. It's like going to a conference and you hear all this incredible information. And I always, whenever I come back from any learning experience, I always try and debrief with myself and think, what are all the key things I've learned? And what is the number one thing that I'm going to do this week? And then what are the other things that I'll come back to and dip into? And it's amazing just writing them down. Sometimes I don't even refer back to it. And I find those pieces of paper years later in my business planning. And I think, oh, wow, I did do that and that and that. And I didn't quite manage all of that, but I did that. It's amazing when we focus our brain where we want to go, what happens. Isn't it?
Yeah. I have a really interesting story that I'd like to share with you about that. When I still had a job working for TELUS, I think it was 2004, my husband and I were on vacation and I read Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. And inside of that book, there was a place that you could go on the internet to download this goal sheet to write out all the different goals for your life in different categories. And so in 2004, I read the book. I was still doing the same thing, highlighting Post-it notes. And I downloaded that goal sheet and I wrote down all of these goals in different areas of my life. Well, fast forward 10 years later, I'm speaking at a convention, and so is Jack Canfield. And he's there speaking because it's the 10-year anniversary of the Success Principles. So I got to meet Jack, and I got Jack to sign a 10-year anniversary copy of his book. And I went back to my office, and someone wanted to read the book. Well, I didn't want to give them my newly, signed copy of Jack's book. So I pulled the old book off the shelf, and inside the old book was my goal sheet. And I took the goal sheet out. I hadn't looked at it in 10 years. Every single goal, with the exception of one, which was not supposed to happen until I'm in my 50s, had been accomplished.
Wow, that's amazing. That's just, thrilling, isn't it? Isn't it incredible, that power? And you know what? What's ironic is I'm actually right in the middle of reading his book, or I'm about 3/4 of the way through that book right now. And when you started talking about the one book that changed your life, I started thinking, I wonder if it's that book, because it's, again, one of those phenomenal foundational books that has so many success principles that when you put them into place, they will transform your life. So that's another great book. People listening in to go out and get and perhaps start with. Yeah.
It's a fantastic book, and it changed my life, but I didn't associate, because I stuck that piece of paper in the book and I didn't look at it again, I forgot about it. And there were things in that book like start my own business, learn how to swim. I didn't learn how to swim until I was in my 40s, become mortgage free, buy a home someplace warm and sunny. All of these goals that I had for my life, that at that time, Lauren, I had no idea how I would ever accomplish those goals. So
that gives me goosebumps, Lisa. That's amazing. Yeah. But that is absolutely, it doesn't surprise me at the same time. Like, that may sound surprising that you can write your goals down and tuck them away in a book, but knowing you and knowing the power of goal setting and a positive intention, and then just doing what you can do in the time that you have, absolutely anyone, I believe, can absolutely achieve that same thing. And it's the power of writing things down. We know it makes a difference. It always surprises me the number of people that don't write down their amazing dreams and goals.
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think it's the power of writing things down, but even more importantly, I think it's the power of having clarity around what it is you want. Because there have been times in my life where I have stayed the same. I haven't moved forward. And I think that in some of those times where my life has been really even keel and I haven't really made big leaps and bound changes in my life, I've almost been in a state of complacency. It's because I didn't have clarity on where I wanted to go next.
Exactly. And you need clarity to be able to write it down. It's part of that process. Fantastic. Should we just finish with one of the books that you've read recently this year? Is there another book that you could share, something you've got out of a book that you've read over recent months?
I'm reading a book right now called Digital Minimalism. And it is by, what's his name? Let me tell you. Digital Minimalism. I always forget his last name. Where is it? Cal Newport.
Okay.
I am 2/3, if not 3/4 done the book. And the book talks about our addiction to technology. It talks about our addiction to our mobile devices and screens. And it talks about the science behind mobile applications and notifications that feed our insecurities and our need for approval. And it talks about the first generation that was born after 1995 that grew up with technology, and how there are significantly higher rates of anxiety and suicide for people who are spending way too much time on their screens, mindlessly scrolling, looking for interactions, looking for connection that you cannot get from a device. You can only get from being face-to-face, belly-to-belly, heart-to-heart. I think it is a very, very important read for parents and for people who care about being present to the life that they're living and not wasting it doing this.
Yes,
Fantastic book.
I absolutely agree. It's one of my passion areas that I see the effect that it's having, and I think we don't fully comprehend the huge effect that technology and social media is having. And it's not to say that it is all bad, but I recently read an article around how to wrangle technology, because as you say, we're constantly connected, yet missing this actual connection. And we know that connection is one of the foundations of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing this. It's tragic. And I think of my kids and their friends and their generation coming through that literally have never known the world to not have technology, to not constantly be connected. And I think as adults as well, we know we get that dopamine hit when we look at the post and, oh, it's got 3 likes. Oh, it's got 57 likes. And
you check.
Yeah. And just the impact it's having on sleep and sleep being so foundational. All of these things that I think we really need to put up our antennae, to be intentional, to be more aware of what we do, and to set very strict boundaries with ourselves, and to set the example for our colleagues and for our family members. It's great. Once I was out for lunch a few months back, and I'd taken my daughter shopping, and it ended up getting so late we needed to stop for lunch. So I just was sitting there, and I messaged my husband to say, look, we're going to be a bit late. And my daughter, who was 9 at the time, said, Mummy, no phones at the table. And I thought, yeah, good on you, girl. You remind me of the rules that I set, And I was like, but I thought, no buts, no excuses. And so I had to apologise and explain what I was doing, and obviously get off the phone and just connect and focus with her, because that was some one-on-one mother-daughter time, and she was feeling marginalised by me having my phone out, and I was not connecting with her in that moment. I think we miss so many of those precious moments. So
when people are lonely, they go to social media to feel connected. And the truth is, social media is making people feel lonelier and more disconnected than ever before. And I mean, my business, I am in the business of marketing. So I'm not going to stop using social media as a tool for my business anytime soon. But I am going to do a better job of controlling how I use the tool, instead of letting the tool control my brain. And really breed addiction to technology. So I think if there was a book that I recommend that society as a whole needs to read today, it would be that.
Fantastic. So it's called Technology Minimalism.
Digital minimalism.
Digital minimalism. Okay, I'm going to look that up. Fantastically. So, hey, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for sharing from your heart. I love hearing your stories. And I hope that people are going to go away today with a new perspective on how to read. And I look forward to hearing from you all. Feel free to leave a comment down below and let us know what's the best book that you've ever read, or what is the next book you're going to read. And perhaps if you're watching this and you come back a few months later, or once you've read that next book and try this technique, let us know how it worked for you. So comment below, let us know what you're reading, what you've enjoyed, so that we can share that as a community. So thank you so much, Lisa. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
They can find me at lisalarter.com. And if they want to learn more about my book club, they can go to thoughtreaders.com.
Fantastic. So lisalarter.com, thoughtreaders.com, the links will be down below. So thank you again for all of your time. Go out and have a wonderful day. This has been another episode of Thrive TV, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Thrive TV Show with Lauren Parsons. Visit thrivetvshow.com to access the show notes and discover our fantastic bonus content. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next inspiring episode.